This vampire test was originally authored by Professor Patrick Winston in course MIT 6.034 on artificial intelligence, and we're grateful to him for this example, which I'll now describe. Okay, so we want to talk about machine learning, and in this case we're going to talk about it as a classification problem. So for example, here we want to find out if we've detected a vampire or not. And our tests are that a vampire may or may not throw a shadow. Vampires are not supposed to like garlic. They hate garlic. Now, vampires could have an accent. They might have a heavy accent or an odd accent. And here's our results now for these various tests. So in the first row we don't know if there's a shadow or not, but they did eat garlic, and so they don't have an accent either, and so they're not a vampire. So this is basically our training data. And in the next row, yes, they cast a shadow, they ate garlic, no accent, they're not a vampire. In this case, we couldn't tell if there's a shadow or not, but they wouldn't eat garlic, and they didn't have an accent, but they were a vampire. So with this data, the question is, what tests do we use first to analyze it? So let's take a look. Let's suppose we use the shadow test. So here it is on the left, the shadow test. And we'll see that we didn't know if there's a shadow. So we've got one no. There are three possibilities. Yes, there's a shadow. No, there's a shadow. And we don't know. So that first row gives a no in this right-hand box. In this case, the shadow test gives a no over in the left-hand box here, this yes. Okay. And then question mark again, and this time a green. So we've got a red and a green in the right hand now. And let's just go down with the question marks first. Here we've got another green, and finally the bottom row with a question mark, we've got another red. So the question marks here give rise to this case, and the no's, if we've got one no here and no shadow, and it gave rise to a vampire. And in the other cases of the yeses, there are shadows, there's no vampire. So that's the shadow test. It gives us this result. So it doesn't classify perfectly. It'd be great if we didn't have that right-hand box. We'd have kind of a perfect classifier, but it doesn't. How about the garlic test? Well, the garlic test gives us these results. In case of garlic, we either have yes or no. There's only two options. But where there's yeses, we get no vampire in 1, 2, and 3. And in the no's, we get some mixed. We've got 3 yeses and 2 no's. So that's what the garlic test would give us. Now the accent test, same thing. We have 3 possibilities: a heavy accent, or odd accent, no accent, and it gives this result. So the question is, which of these tests should we apply first and which should we apply second? It'd be nice if we had some metric to tell us what test to apply. So here's the test, the samples, and now there is a metric. What we're going to do is we're going to weight the amount of disorder, and the disorder we're going to have as the probability of finding either no vampire or vampire times the log of 1 over the probability. Often this is written because log 1 over p is the same as minus log p. You'll have this as the weight times minus p log p. But we'll just leave it like this for now. So let's take a look at this case here. So with the garlic test, we have 3 out of 8 of the results, of the test results, give rise to, where there's yes for garlic, it means no vampire. And no for garlic, we have no vampire twice, but we get 3 vampires. So let's take a look at this, the amount of disorder here in this box. So here we've got 3 out of 8. So the weight is, we've got 3 results out of 8 results. So that's the weighting. And now the probability is that there's no vampire, and the probability is 1. In this case, we've got log of 1, which is 0. So there's no disorder here, which is pretty obvious, actually, that we know exactly what's in this box. But here we've got 5 out of the 8, so that's the weighting in red. And now for the no vampire, we've got 2 out of 5, and so then that's log of 5 over 2. And then for the 3 green ones that there is a vampire, we've got 3/5 times log 5 over 3. And if you work this out, this comes to 0.6. So the amount of disorder for the garlic test is 0.6. So we can look now at all of these tests and find out how much disorder they give rise to. So that's what we'd like to do. And if we work through these, we find that the shadow test gives us disorder of 0.5, the garlic test 0.6, so more disorder, and the accent test 0.75. So the best test is the shadow test. We should apply that first. Now let's see what happens if we do that. If we apply the shadow test first, we get this result. And now we can apply the garlic test to this box. And again, now we've got no disorder at all. So that's the way, that's the order that we should apply these tests. So the amount of disorder gives us a very good test for which of these shadow test, garlic test, or accent test should we apply first, and then which should we apply second. Okay, so this is important to understand that we have a metric now for deciding exactly what test to apply. Okay.